One of the most remarkable aspects is that you had such different places come together as one nation.
It mushrooms into a global campaign that touches Europe and all parts of the world.
It so excites us that we are the product of a revolutionary moment where the world turned upside down.
Carl, Ken Burns says the American Revolution is the most important event since the birth of Christ. Do you agree?
Well, it's definitely got to be up there, Amita. It's at least as significant as the Reformation with Martin Luther. Well, the question will be, how does it play off? Somebody asked a leader of China, what do you think of the American Revolution 200 years ago? He said it's too soon to tell. So do we live up to the dream? Then it is the most influential.
And Ed, the American Revolution was the first ever fought proclaiming the inalienable rights of humans. How significant is that for the United States and for people all over the world?
The political push for inalienable rights was really important not only for people within the new country, but across the globe. It was really the first proclamation from people who didn't have direct political power that everyday people had rights. And it translated genuinely to everyday people. There were enslaved African Americans who took it to heart. One who was Phyllis Wheatley, who wrote a poem where she proclaimed, "Liberty makes the weak strong," and that it led them to sing, to speak out for their own rights.
Carl, along those lines, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, both are obviously legendary, but just as they advocated for personal universal rights, they owned human beings. They were slaveholders. In fact, Black people fought in the Revolution on the side of the British and against the British. Describe how complicated that history is.
You have to remember at the time, just to be advocating for rights for average people, white people, was radical. The idea that you were advocating for the slaves, it was going to take a civil war to finally resolve that. Thomas Jefferson felt very conflicted about his slaves, but they were money. Too often in life, when your pocketbook is against your principles, your pocketbook's going to win out. So you got to look at the good they did, and they set up a system by which we could then address what they left unfinished.
And Ed, John Adams' wife, Abigail Adams, said, "If particular care and attention is not paid to the ladies, we are determined to foment a rebellion and will not hold ourselves bound by any laws in which we have no voice or representation." How seriously were Abigail Adams' words taken by the men of that time?
Yeah, and Abigail Adams wrote that, in fact, before the Declaration of Independence was even signed. And it's interesting because John Adams responded to her letter almost mockingly. He called her saucy, and he said it was almost too much to hear that the petticoats, as women in dresses would even challenge. But then he said that if women were to uprise, he would hope that General Washington would bring his men to put them down.
Carl, George Washington famously turned down an offer to be king of the country. This month, there was a second nationwide No Kings protest that included tens of thousands of people locally. What would the founding fathers say about the country's current political situation?
Well, the important thing with Washington is he turned down the crown 3 times. He had plenty of opportunity to subvert the revolution and become our Napoleon. I think for the framers, if you can do that sort of a juxtaposition to today, would look at things and say, yeah, people have to protest, government has to govern, but at a certain point, when government's not responsive to the people, it is their right, it is their duty to change it.